What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers were eliminated in 5 games to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and what an incredibly frustrating series that was. But one of the things that really stood out at the end of the game, Mark Williams, right? Mark Williams chiming in, throwing some shade. And look, in his defense, he has the right to, right? In his defense, go for it. Right? Like, I can't really knock him for it, right? Because this is one of those series you look at and go, is it different if you have Mark Williams, right? Is this do the Lakers win this series with Mark Williams? The answer could be yes, right? So, of course, Lakers losing, you're going to have all kinds of noise. You're going to have all kinds of people and media heads and this, that, and the other coming out of the woodworks, talking players, all of it. Comes with the territory. Lakers lose, people talk, right? It's like if the Lakers win, people talk, right? But Mark Williams, more than anybody, right? There's a little more to it than that. And, it's unfortunate, right? Now, I see a lot of people that are frustrated, and rightfully so, right? If we had a center, a competent center, a playable center, again, what does this series look like? Do we win do we win the championship? Do we win this round, right? Well, with Mark Williams, assuming he can be the guy that we know he could be, a 20-10 guy, then yes, I absolutely believe we win this series. These games were so tight, so close, right, that I believe a guy like Mark Williams is the difference because he's going to help with rebounding, he's going to help with scoring, he's going to help be the lob threat, right? Like, he's going to do multiple things out there on the basketball court that would have made a difference. And a series where every game was just marginal, right? But in the same breath, you never know what would have happened, right? It's easy to go, hey, we should have went and got Mark Williams. Mark Williams would have been the difference maker. We're probably in the second round, get ready to face the Warriors or Houston, and we're in business, right? But in the same breath, it's very possible, like, it's hurt, right? Again, the Lakers vetoed the trade essentially because of medical issues, because of medical concerns. They had concerns about him holding up. And I know people look at, he held up again, for Charlotte. It's a very different scenario. Charlotte's kind of tanking. They're not playing as like Lakers are trying to contend. They're trying to build these habits. They're playing with this intensity. They're playing with this ferocity, right? Now you're going into a Minnesota series, which is probably the most physical, tasking, demanding series in all of the playoffs that the Lakers would play, right? Does Mark Williams hold up, right? Like, again, obviously we never know either way. On one side, right, let's say the Lakers went through the trade, right, just for argument's sake. On one side, you have a version where he holds up, he's healthy, Lakers win the series. There's another version where the physicality is too much, he ends up falling apart, and then everyone goes, why did you trade for Mark Williams, Rob? You should have done that. Again, it's catch-22, right? We knew going into this playoffs that we were limited as far as centers go. I think that they put a little too much faith into Jaxson Hayes. I was very adamant personally on Jaxson Hayes and him not being a center, a starting center in this league. I got a lot of pushback for it. I did. I made several videos, talked about it on several occasions that, like, hey, credit Jaxson Hayes for what he's done. Credit Jaxson Hayes for stepping up in a moment when, we didn't have anybody, so credit him. He deserves some credit, but that doesn't mean that he's a starting center. That doesn't mean he's a guy that you're going to be able to rely on in these key marquee matchups. And you went to a key marquee matchup and you played a team in Minnesota and Jaxson Hayes was unplayably bad, right? Like, Jaxson Hayes got bullied and his lax discipline and basically was a complete non-factor out there. And I know people look at it and go, well, you only played, 5 minutes, because that's all you could play him, right? Like, you don't think if JJ Redick could have played him 40 minutes a night, you probably would have played him 40 minutes a night, right? But you couldn't because he was a liability out there. He didn't give you the things that you need. And so I don't think Jaxson Hayes, I think if anything, Jaxson Hayes fouls out every game or it's just, we lose by more because now you're relying on a guy that's just outmatched, outmuscled, out everything, right? And, you know, again, hindsight is always going to be 2020, right? We clearly need a center this offseason. It's something that the Lakers are heavily going to have to address. Obviously, the center position really came back to bite the Lakers in the behind. Rudy Gobert was out there looking like prime Shaquille O'Neal, just absolute domination by him, and drop a 27 and 24 game. Like, it's ridiculous for a guy like Rudy Gobert. It's ridiculous, right? But Lakers know what they need. They need a center. They need, in my opinion, two centers. You got to get, a Mark Williams and Clint Capella, something like that, right? Get the skill big that is just versatile and can do multiple things out there, and then go get that like kind of bruiser type, rebounding type of center that can, just be there as that lob threat, as the guy that can bang with the big boys, right? Either guy could start any given night, like something like that. Cool, right? I'd love if we get like a Jalen Duren or, a Walker Kessler or something like that. But there is also a possibility that the Lakers re-engage a Mark Williams trade. Now, obviously, will Charlotte consider that? Would Charlotte be open to that? Maybe. Again, depends on how high they are on Dalton Connect. Maybe you can get Mark Williams at a cheaper rate. Maybe you can get Mark Williams at a cheaper price, or, maybe you do another eval, and maybe he passes that physical, right? Because he's had time, he's had rest, and maybe you've kind of worked on the things that you needed to work on, and then maybe you're pulling off the trade bin, right? Like, and you kind of just let bygones be bygones. Obviously, Mark Williams is still dwelling and thinking about the Lakers, because if he wasn't, then he wouldn't have posted the thing that he posted, right? Which was just kind of loose my, but everyone knew. Everyone knows why he posted it, what he posted it for, like, right? So to me, I look at this and I go, okay, well, if Mark Williams is available in the offseason, which supposedly Charlotte is going to shop him, which I think is hilarious because they made this whole ordeal over like he's our guy and we never really wanted to trade him. We were never going to trade him. But the Lakers, the big bad Lakers, were just so persistent and just were on our behinds the whole time. And we were like, golly gee, we do not want to get rid of Mark Williams. And, but they forced our hand and we had to trade him. And then a week later, they're like, all right, we're trading Mark Williams in the offseason. It's like, so which is it? Is it golly gee, he's the guy and he's the future of the franchise, or is it golly gee, he's the, if I'm the Lakers though, can you get Miles Bridges too? Right, get a legit 3-and-D guy as well as get a center, right? Like if you could pull something like that off, that'd be amazing. I'd basically sell whatever you have to sell, right? To go get, a legit sizable versatile wing that can defend, play multiple positions, as well as going and getting a legit skilled center, sign, like I said, a Clint Capella and free agency as like your backup center or whatever, and you're off to the races at that point, right? Like, the center position has to be addressed regardless, right? Whether it's Mark Williams or it's somebody else or whatever, right? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of talk about the Mark Williams situation now. One, because the Lakers just lost and they desperately needed a center. And it's kind of like, in hindsight, you should have went and kept Mark Williams, right? And, I still see people like, oh, Lakers got cold feet or they didn't want to give up. Like, I don't for a second buy that that's what it was, right? Was it a bit of an overpay for Mark Williams? Sure, given the circumstances, right? His injury history, stuff like that. But, like, no one was criticizing Rob Pelinka. Right? Like, all of the conversation was like, Lakers are the best team in the league. Lakers might have just secured a championship. Like, yeah, it was an overpay, but it was worth it. Now you have Mark Williams and Luka for the next 10 plus years, right? Like, the conversation was positive. The conversation was like, give Rob Pelinka GM of the year now, right? Like, the guy just, pulled a rabbit out of his hat. Got Luka and then Mark Williams. Like it's just, I don't think that conversation, that narrative and everything happened and he was like, you know what? Like, I don't think I should do this, right? Like, no, I think it was as straightforward as it was, right? And plus, if it was that, I think Charlotte probably would have challenged it and probably would have forced the Lakers' hand. But Now it's kind of hard when the Lakers go, see all this stuff? Yeah. He failed that. So maybe we revisit it in the offseason. I'm sure that there's going to be talks about it. I'm sure there's going to be conversation about it. And we'll talk about it and we'll address it and we'll see how it plays out. But, I thought it was kind of funny, the Mark Williams tweet and stuff, which again, I don't like, I'm not blaming him. I'm not anything like that. Like, if anyone deserves to send out some shade tweet, right? It's Mark Williams, especially after the situation that we just found ourselves in, right? So, you look at Mark Williams, it's like, he's not wrong, right? Like the guy is pretty spot on, right? The guy is right. Lakers put themselves in just such a bad spot, such a bad position. And it's very frustrating. But nonetheless, we'll see how it all plays out in the offseason. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? What'd you make of the Mark Williams situation? Do you think the Lakers should have went through with it? Do you think they made the right choice? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. Either way, let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos. And I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.